Comair was founded by the Novik and Maritz families and operates the British Airways license in South Africa as well as KULULA.com. It has a market cap of 587 million. Comair recently launched the first of 8 new 737-800 series Boeings. It trades on a price to earnings of 171 but currently skipped its dividend. That price earnings of 171 is a stock that you'd be getting into. Looking at the graph, also pretty volatile here.
Yeah, very well run and conservatively run company over the years. So as you said, it had those origins and then it had the license to sell Cessna airplanes here in South Africa. They launched on a very limited basis in competition to SAA on the local routes. Then they got the British Airways relationship, which has transformed the business. And then more latterly, the KULULA discount thing. So I think very good. They've delivered very well. Profits have always inched up year after year. They've been conservative with their accounting. They've paid dividends when they've been able to. The most recent shifts in the company, though, are quite interesting because they've really started to battle. I think the volatile air, avgas prices really did not help them. 20% or roughly stake from Bidvest. So that was also a big shift because the family-owned structure then has kind of been broken. And I think you noticed Gidon Novik, the CEO, who was one of the Novik heirs, so to speak, was pushed aside. We understand that Brian Joffe has taken a direct and close interest. He's the Bidvest guy. So I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. But for the moment, anyway, people seem very anxious and not very comfortable with it. So
Gideon is at Discovery now?
Exactly. He left and went to Discovery. I mean, he's a bright young guy. And the family stake is still there, although I think they have sold down a little bit over the last years.
So, Craig, looking at Comair now, they've just spent that 2.5 billion on 7 new aircraft, really as a strategy to go into the more fuel-efficient ways of doing things. Looking at Comair, is it a company that you'd be going into at this stage?
Yeah, so I think, look, that expend of new aircraft makes it fuel efficient and also allows them to carry more passengers, so getting a far better return on a flight. They also made a few other changes, like they sending or employing people in Cape Town so they don't have to have carry that accommodation cost. They've said they're going to do their own catering here, which should drop food costs by about 25 or 30%. So from management point of view, it's these crisis situations that allow them to do things. So I like the story. I just think that perhaps we're still going to see some of that restructuring in the current period, and in time to come that should improve profits tremendously. And of course you're going to obviously have the depreciation of that aircraft flowing in as well, but if you take a view stripping that out, then I think in time to come it could be quite an interesting story. So
interesting story, but Comair is going against big SAA at this stage.
Yeah, and that's the problem, because a couple of years ago when Transnet was getting fresh management and starting to look at itself a bit more critically, then it looked as though SAA might be forced to operate a little bit more on a commercial basis. But in fact, since then, Transnet said, we don't want anything to do with these guys, and kicked them back into the Department of Public Enterprises. The Ministry of Public Enterprises is busy with Eskom and all these other dramas. But as far as SAA is concerned, they continuously say, yeah, okay, we're going to give you another couple of billion, but you know what, it's the last time. This is the last time we're giving you any money. And then a couple of years later, yeah, we need a bit more, you know. So currently there's discussion about another one-time last off, won't ever happen again, 5 billion rand recapitalization. And it's justified on the basis of this national carrier thing. But the reality is that SAA operates all of the profitable local routes and all of the Africa routes at a substantial margin. And it's in a position, whenever it feels like, to take its prices down in order to hurt the competition and then bring it back up again later. So their cost of capital is basically zero. So it's very hard for Comair and for KULULA to deal with that. Unfortunately, it's the reality of life and it doesn't seem to be changing.
So with all these challenges faced by Comair, hot or not?
Unfortunately not. Much as I like the guys, like the team, know the management people there, it's a hard stock to recommend clients buy, so not hot.
So not hot on Comair for Paul. Yourself, Craig, hot or not on Comair?
Yeah, I'm also saying not hot, and it's probably more an industry call than a specific call, because I also agree management, although they had joint CEOs before and there's one now, I still think there's a good management structure, but not hot because of the industry.